Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. It started on my birthday, of all days. 30 people packed into our small house, the kitchen overloaded with trays, candles, and voices bouncing off cabinets. Megan moved through the room like she owned the party and the house and the air. That was normal. What wasn't normal was how she kept orbiting around Tyler, husband of her best friend, Lena. Every toast, every joke, every "who needs more ice" somehow landed right at his elbow. "Try the brisket, Tyler," she told him, laughing too hard when he joked about the grill. "You like the spicier rub, right? You said that at the lake." I heard it and filed it. The lake trip had been 2 months earlier. I didn't remember Tyler saying anything about rubs. He lifted a glass toward me. "Good stuff, man." "Thanks," I said, and checked the timer on the oven. Normal host move. Normal birthday move. I told myself it was nothing. Hospitality. Maybe she wanted Lena to feel welcome. Maybe she was covering for me being stuck at the grill. It was my birthday. I let it go. If I'd known where it was headed, I'd have cut the cake and ended the night early. The next morning, I collected the bottles and folded chairs, putting our living room back in order. Megan was quiet, scrolling her phone at the table, legs crossed, coffee cooling untouched. She didn't say thanks for the party. She said, "We need stronger lights out back." Everyone said it felt dim. I put a bag of recycling by the door. "Everyone? Or Tyler?" She glanced up. "Don't be weird. Just asking." "Just asking sounds like you're fishing," she replied, then pushed back her chair. "I'm meeting Lena for brunch." "Don't wait." She left me with greasy pans and a window of silence. I took it. I'm not the guy who pokes a bruise to see if it still hurts. I let the day run. That night, Megan came home with a new tone, flat, deliberate. "Lena says we should host more. She and Tyler always end up organizing. It'd be nice if you took initiative. Like last night." "That was for your birthday," she said, and walked down the hall. I stood in the kitchen with the dishwasher humming. That was the first draft of a new rule. Whatever I did didn't count. I logged it. Then I adjusted something small, the joint credit card we used for group nights and extras. I set an alert to ping my phone at any charge over 100, and I moved half the extra money into savings. No speech. No applause. Just a line in the sand, quiet and plain. A week later, the 4 of us met up at a burger place. Booth near the window, TVs hanging from the ceiling, smell of onions and fry oil. Lena asked about our work schedules, and Tyler told a story about a client who bought a ski house sight unseen. Megan smiled at him. "That's such a power move." "Just a client with no time," he said. "It's focus," she answered. "Knowing what you want and just getting it." I dug into my fries, kept my face neutral. I watch numbers and I watch people. The numbers always tell the truth first. On the way home, Megan put her hand on the center console, like she might touch me, then pulled it back. "Tyler's focused. You could take a page." I looked at the road. "I'm focused on our stuff, not ski houses." "Maybe that's the problem," she said. "You think too small." "Too small," I repeated, and parked in our driveway. The lawn needed cutting. The porch light was out. "We have a mortgage and 2 cars and a pantry that feeds people you invite. How small is that?" She opened the door. "You heard me." I went to the garage, grabbed a ladder, and replaced the porch bulb. It didn't change anything, but it was something in my control. That's how I move. I don't beg for tone shifts. I fix what's mine to fix. 2 Saturdays later, I came back from the hardware store and heard voices through the open patio door. Megan and her friend April, laughing the way people laugh when they know they're safe. April spoke fast, words landing like she wanted them to sting someone who wasn't there. "Look, it's not a crime to want security," April said. "I'm not saying it is," Megan answered. "I just can't carry his pace forever." "His pace?" April laughed. "He's steady, not flashy. You knew that. Steady is just another word for slow." I picked up the bags, walked through the living room, and set them on the kitchen island loud enough for the voices to stop. Megan turned, brows lifted like I'd interrupted something critical. "Hey," I said. "Gonna fix the cabinet hinge." "Okay," she replied, neutral. April gathered her tote. "I should go." Megan saw her out. When she came back, I was putting the screwdriver away. "Everything's a test now." I asked. "Don't eavesdrop," she said. "Then don't hold conversations about my pace next to the open door." It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, I told her. And I'm not interested in being a topic in my own house. She crossed her arms. You're overreacting. Nope. I'm setting a policy. No more couple game nights here for a while. I'm spending that time on work and my own schedule. You want to host? Do it on your side of the calendar. You can't just decide that. I just did, I answered, and loaded the hinge screws back into the box. That was initiative number 2. Time reallocated, expectations reset. No tantrum. I didn't slam doors. I didn't demand anything. I just pulled myself out of a setup where I'm fodder for comparisons. She didn't speak to me all evening. The next morning, she put coffee in front of me and a plate of eggs. It was the first soft turn. Hey, she said, voice almost warm. I got your favorite beans. You were right about the card alerts. I overspent on the last party. I'm sorry. I'll be more mindful. I tasted the coffee. It was good. Noted. She slid a hand onto my shoulder. You know I don't mean those things. April just runs her mouth. April ran her mouth. You nodded. I'm telling you I get it. She didn't, but she knew she had to pretend to. I let the apology sit on the table between us and didn't push it away or pull it closer. 40 minutes later, she was texting again, smile back in her voice. The world had tilted and righted for the moment. I gave her that inch. I didn't give her the yard. For 2 weeks, she was less obvious. Then the comparisons crept back like weeds. Lena posted their kitchen redo, she said one night, scrolling. They didn't even wait on the contractor. We're not tearing apart a working kitchen because someone online did, I replied. Sometimes I feel like you'd be happy living in a starter home forever. I'd be happy living in a house where people respect the person paying the mortgage, I told her, and went to the garage. I started running at night, clear my head, put distance between her tone and my sanity. A small habit with a big effect. Then the lateness started. Girls' night, she announced on a Thursday. We're watching some documentary at Lena's. Enjoy, I said. I'll be at the shop late. I run a small fabrication outfit. Deadlines don't care about drama, so I use work like a vice to hold my mind steady. She came home after midnight, set her keys down quietly, and slipped into the guest bathroom to shower. I heard the water run and checked the odometer in my head. She'd left at 6. Our town isn't a maze. Nothing is 40 minutes away besides the next county. The second time, she came in later, and she was lighter than she'd been in months. Not happy. Excited. She hummed. She didn't realize. You're in early, I mentioned from the couch. It's not early, she said, glancing at the clock and then at me like the clock had betrayed her. I told you it might be late. You said 9. I answered, not looking away from the baseball game. It's past midnight. She pulled off her earrings. We lost track of time. Who's we? Me. Lena. April. I nodded. Right? And muted the TV. I pulled my phone, opened a notepad, and typed a short list. Thursday late. Guest bath shower. Edge of town gas station charge at 11:22 on the alert. Unfamiliar mileage on her car when I filled it Saturday morning. I let the list sit. Facts over feelings my way. A week later, I got a text alert from the joint card again. A charge at a boutique hotel 2 towns over. I messaged Megan, keeping it flat. Got an unusual charge on the card. Did you use it? She replied after 10 minutes. Oops. Lena paid for takeout, and I covered the hotel room at the concert venue. Easier that way. Cancel if you want, I'll reimburse. We hadn't discussed any concert. I closed the message and stared out the shop window at the loading dock. My guys were finishing a rail job. I swallowed the urge to walk out and drive until the gas gauge hit half. Instead, I made a call. Mike, I said when he picked up. He's been in the private investigations game for 20 years. We bumped into each other through a client who needed background checks. You got time for a delicate look at some dates and locations? He did. We met at a strip of offices near downtown. His place was bare, desk, chair, file cabinet. No decor to distract. He slid a legal pad across to me. Give me the basics, he said. I gave him the list. Names, general patterns, 2 hotels I had receipts for from the card alert history that didn't fit our regular life. I didn't act like a man begging. I acted like a man hiring a mechanic. How far do you want me to go, he asked. Enough to end doubt, I replied. Got it, he said. Give me a few days. I went home and cooked dinner. Megan came in at 7 and saw the pans. You cooked? Yep. You said you're tired of takeout. I plated food, and she took the plate like it was a peace treaty. Midway through, she reached across the table and touched my wrist. I've been tense, she said. I'm sorry if I've been sharp. This season at work is crazy. There it was, the second soft turn, bigger this time. Work is always crazy, I answered. It's life. I know. I miss us. I let my eyes linger on her face long enough for her to think the bridge held. Then act like it. For 2 days, Megan played at closeness. She texted during the day, asked about the shop, sent a picture of a sunset from the studio parking lot. I didn't hand over my heart like a prize. I acknowledged, kept my schedule, went for runs. On Friday, Mike called. You at the shop? Yeah. I'll swing by with a packet. He arrived with a manila envelope, sat across from me, and laid out dates and records, not pictures blown up or dramatic. Plain reports. License plate hits from a garage camera, a town over on nights. She said she was with friends. A hotel front desk log showing a room with 2 names, hers and Tyler's, on an upgrade form because the first room didn't have the view he wanted. Timestamps matching my credit card alerts. Messages between a number saved as M on her phone and a secondary line I didn't recognize, extracted from a cloud backup he pulled after a gentle push through her email. Nothing salacious. Just logistics that lined up too perfectly with her stories. I thanked him and paid him. He didn't offer sympathy, which I appreciated. I don't like being handled. I sat with the envelope for an hour, flipping pages, marking dates. Then I reached for my phone and opened a thread I had never used. A direct message to Lena. Hey, this is David. I need to ask you something that's going to sound insane. Do you have 10 minutes? She answered in 2. What's wrong? It's not a phone thing. Can you meet at the coffee place near the library? She replied with a thumbs up and, 10 minutes later, walked into the cafe with a puzzled face. Lena is direct. No fluff. Her eyes scan a room like a teacher taking attendance. She slid into the booth across from me. Talk, she said. I set the envelope between us. Look through this. Then tell me whether your weekend stories match his. She blinked. Whose? Tyler. She pulled the papers slowly, read, flipped a page, read more. Her mouth went tight. No, she said, barely above a whisper. No. No. I didn't rush her. I let her read each line, breathe, read the next. She pressed a hand to her forehead like a headache had walked in and sat down without asking. I'm sorry, I said and meant it. I didn't bring this to break you. I brought it because I think you're the only person who will understand the shape of it. She looked up. Eyes sharpened now, teacher mode. Thank you for not telling me in a text. I respect you too much for that. She slid the stack back toward me, then pulled it back halfway. Hold on. Look at these dates. She tapped 2 lines with her nail. Those are the same weekends he told me he had last-minute travel. And I covered for him with the kid's dentist and my sister's barbecue. Patterns are stubborn, I said. She pushed the papers fully back. What do you want to do? I already did one thing, I told her. I met with a lawyer yesterday and drew up papers. No court fights, straightforward split, equal terms. It's all signed on my side. Her eyes widened. You move fast. I move when respect leaves the room, I said. I'm not going to beg someone to stay. She closed her eyes for a moment. Okay. When she opened them, steal. I want out too. I'll call my own guy. No drama. Clean break. I nodded. I'm going to give you copies of this. Use them or don't. I don't need a mess. I need an end. We sat with that. The cafe hissed steam and hummed with chatter around us. The world kept moving, which felt right. My life was a moving object, not a paused movie. What's your plan? She asked finally. Glad you asked, I said. Because a plan is the only thing that makes this bearable. She leaned in. Tell me. I laid out a simple path. No shouting, no house trashing. We'd wait for them to hand us their own schedule. They were predictable. As if on cue, Megan texted, girls' weekend, concert next town over. Leaving Friday, back Monday morning early. Staying with Sandy and April. No service maybe. Love you. I turned my screen so Lena could read. She snorted. He told me he has a conference in the city until Monday. Leaves Friday at noon. I shrugged. They like aligning. Lena stared at my phone. What now? Now, I said. You pack a bag and come stay in the guest room at my place for the weekend. We make breakfast together Monday morning. She walks in. We don't yell. We don't accuse. We let the facts speak. And we offer paperwork. Lena let out a breath that scraped a corner of a laugh. That's cold. It's calm, I corrected. I'm done bleeding. I want a clean cut. She sat back, thinking. Okay, I'll bring my own folder. He gets the same courtesy. Good, I said and finished my coffee. On Friday, Megan kissed my cheek on her way out. I'll call when we land, she said. You're driving, I replied. Text when you get there. Right, she said, slipping. We carpool. Have fun, I answered and turned to my workbench. When the door closed, I changed the passcode on the alarm, adjusted the thermostat schedule, and moved my watch charger into the guest room. That wasn't pettiness. That was logistics, science of not letting chaos dictate your comfort. Lena arrived with a small bag and a look that mixed rage and resolve. Nice place, she said at the door. It's lived in, I replied. Guest rooms clean. We didn't talk about them. We talked about the grocery list and the coffee grinder. We worked in normal rhythm. Saturday morning, we ran to the farmer's market. A neighbor saw us there and waved. Hey, David, he called. New partner in crime? Friend, I answered smoothly. Lena's staying with us while her house gets treated for an ant problem. He nodded. Those are relentless this year. Lena raised a bag of apples. We're relentless too. That night, Megan sent a text with a blurry picture of a stadium crowd. I replied with a thumbs up. Lena looked at her own phone and shook her head. He sent the same one. Sunday was quiet. We planned breakfast like we were prepping for an inspection. Eggs, pancakes, fruit, bacon, coffee. No theatrics. Just abundance. I printed 2 folders, papers on the left, evidence on the right. I put a pen in each. At 6:30 Monday morning, the garage door groaned. I was at the stove flipping pancakes. Lena sliced strawberries. The kitchen smelled like normal life. That was the point. The back door opened. Megan walked in with a weekend's worth of overnight energy, hair tossed. Shirt wrinkled, eyes calculating in less than a second. She froze like she'd stepped on ice water. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I didn't rush to fill the silence. I put a pancake on a plate and slid it to the other end of the island. Lena didn't turn. She finished the strawberries and set the knife down. Good morning, I said calmly. Hungry. Megan blinked. What is this? Lena glanced up, cool, mouth quirked. How was the concert with my husband, friend? Megan gripped the strap of her overnight bag. The bag looked heavy all of a sudden. Her eyes jumped from Lena to me to the folders on the counter. Panic, then a hunt for a story, then the grip of reality. That shift is easy to recognize when you've already made up your mind. I don't know what you think you're doing, she finally managed. I'm making breakfast, I answered, easy. And I've set out everything you need for a fast resolution. What resolution? She shot back, volume climbing, then dropping when she caught herself. We can talk. Just you and me. No speeches, I told her. We're beyond that. This is about action. On the counter is a folder. On the left are the documents finalizing our exit. On the right is the log of weekends, charges, and the hotel upgrade sheet that carries both your names because Tyler wanted a different view. There's more, but those are the highlights. I already signed my side. You can add your name or you can leave. Either way, the story ends. She took a breath that didn't land. You didn't even ask me, she said. I didn't need to, I replied. I asked a professional to confirm what my eyes already saw, and I watched you walk out of here with your shoulders lighter than they've been in months. I'm not running a courtroom. I'm enforcing my boundary. Her voice shook. This is so extreme. What's extreme is spending my life next to someone who treats me like a placeholder while auditioning the next option. I'm not a placeholder. Lena leaned on the counter. You used my name as cover, she told Megan. You used my house as a prop. And you kept smiling like I'm a fool. No more. Megan's face crumpled, then stiffened, then softened. She tried 3 masks in 5 seconds and realized none would work. She dropped her bag by the stool and opened the folder with a jerky motion. She scanned the first page. You won't listen to me? She tried again. I'm listening to your signature, I said. She stared at the evidence side, flipped 2 pages, saw the upgrade sheet with her name next to Tyler's. She shut her eyes and pressed her lips together. When she opened them, tears tracked down without force. Please, she said. We can fix this. We can reset. I was stupid. That word won't help here, I replied. You made choices. Choices have results. I'm making mine. Megan reached for my arm. I stepped back enough that her hand caught the empty air. Don't do this, David, she whispered. You did this, I answered. I just cleaned it up. Lena nodded toward the pen. Sign, she said. Megan's jaw tensed. She looked around the kitchen like the room would give her instructions. The room stayed a room. She picked up the pen, hovered, then put it down. I need time, she said. You had time, I told her. You took plenty of it, just not with me. She stared at the paper for a long moment. She signed. She did it in 3 motions, quick, like pulling off a bandage. I took the folder back and placed it into a bag on the chair. I'll handle the rest, I said. You can pack some essentials. I changed the alarm code. When you're ready for a pickup, text me. I'll have a box of your things put aside. We'll keep the logistics simple. Her eyes filled again. So that's it. After everything. That's exactly it, I answered. I didn't cancel us. You did. I'm just confirming the order. She looked at Lena. You too? After all our years. Lena's voice was steady. You ended those years when you treated me like camouflage. I'm finishing what you started. Megan picked up her bag with a stiff motion and walked down the hall to the bedroom. We heard drawers, hangers, the sound of someone moving through a life in a house they misread. She came back with a small duffel, eyes swollen but dry. She stopped in the doorway. I'm sorry you feel hurt, she said, trying one last tactic. I raised an eyebrow. I don't feel hurt, I answered. I feel done. She flinched at that, like the simplicity stung more than any insult. She stepped onto the porch, then turned back. Can we talk later? She asked weakly. No, I said. Later belongs to people who respect each other. She left. We ate breakfast. The pancakes tasted like pancakes. The quiet tasted like air. Lena wiped her hands on a towel. Your move was perfect, she said. There's one more move, I replied. He gets the same treatment. But you lead. Your house, your rules. I'll wait in the car if you want. She shook her head. You stand in the kitchen. I want him to see that I'm not alone. That afternoon, in her bright kitchen, the scene played again with swapped roles. Tyler walked in with the gym bag he always carried when he lied about the gym. He saw me by the counter and Lena beside the coffee maker. His face didn't freeze. It cracked, then smoothed like he'd practiced this kind of emergency. What's this? He asked, aiming for Breezy. Lena didn't bother with a preface. She pointed to the folder. Your name is on the right. The line is there. Sign it. And take a look at the upgrade sheet if you're confused about why. He tried to laugh. Come on, babe. Don't, she cut him off. You're not charming your way out. You took me for granted in my own house. You used my friend as cover. You're done. He looked at me, maybe hoping for some kind of bro code. I picked up an apple from the bowl and bit into it. I don't run codes for people who sink their own boats. He tried a final move. We can work this out. You don't want to start over. She didn't blink. I'm not starting over. I'm starting clean. He put down his bag, looked between us, then let out a breath and signed. I watched the line turn ink. He tried to hug her. She stepped back. The rest of your things will be boxed, she said. Keys on the table. He stood there, searching for any lever. There weren't any. He put the keys down and left. That night, the house was different. Not better or worse. Just settled. I slept 8 hours for the first time in months. The week after was administration. Papers moved. Accounts split. I took my name off anything that didn't belong to me and made sure I left no loose threads. Megan tried a few texts that sounded like apologies and a few that sounded like traps. I answered none of them. Not rudeness, discipline. The more you explain, the more you invite debate. I was past debate. People asked questions. I gave spare, honest answers. We're done, I told my foreman when he noticed the ring missing. It wasn't working. I'm fine. He nodded and told me the next job needed a site visit. That was the best support I got, normal expectations. 2 months later, the exit was official. No shouting, no drawn-out fights. Assets were divided right down the line. I kept my house, my shop, my truck. Megan walked away with what she brought in and what we agreed on. Nothing extra, no special prizes for a performance. Tyler got the same. The image of him as a man who buys ski houses without blinking took a hit when the extra costs landed on his desk. Fancy stories don't pay when there's no one to sponsor them. I saw Megan once more, outside the grocery store. She was in a hurry, talking into her phone. Then she saw me and tried to muster the old stance, the old mix of charm and superiority. It didn't have anywhere to land. She looked smaller, not in body, in posture. She ended the call without finishing and walked over. David, she said. You look good. I am, I replied. She waited for a question that didn't come. I'm getting a place, she added, as if I'd asked. It's temporary. I'm figuring things out. Good, I said. Figure them out. Do you ever think we could? No, I cut in. Not unkindly. I made the right call. We both know that. She nodded, eyes tight. Okay. Take care, I said, and stepped past her into the store. Lena and I stayed in touch. We didn't turn into some awkward consolation prize. We became what made sense, friends who went through a storm and came out dry on the other side. She came to the shop one Saturday with her brother to pick up a metal frame I built for a garden bench. We drank coffee on the tailgate of my truck and talked about bolts and paint and the way some people complicate their own lives and then call it fate. You ever feel like we dodged something big? She asked. I didn't dodge, I said. I stepped aside. Let it pass. She laughed. Your way of saying you kept your dignity. That's the only thing I won't bargain. Life got simple. I kept the morning runs, added a Friday night poker game with guys from the shop, and our neighbor, who always brings terrible dip and a good attitude. I bought a secondhand boat in decent shape from a retiree down the road and spent 2 weekends replacing gaskets. The first time I took it out, the engine purred like it was glad to see me. A woman named Claire started coming by the shop for a railing project. She owns a dance studio and talks about schedules like their choreography. We grabbed coffee after a site visit. No fireworks, no promises. Just 2 adults who know what things cost and what they're worth. Megan faded into the background of my life, as she should. She moved into a small rental across town. Our old circle adjusted around the missing pieces. No one pushed us into the same room. Everyone understood where the lines were, because I drew them clearly the first time and never lifted them. That's the trick people don't say out loud. If you want respect, you stop negotiating with disrespect. Sometimes I think about my birthday night, the way Megan hovered around Tyler, the way I let it slide because I wanted a quiet day. I don't regret letting it slide once. It gave me contrast. When the noise started, I knew exactly what silence should sound like. When the test came, I answered with action. No raised voice. No stage play. Just decisions that fit the facts. People like to imagine dramatic endings. They picture grand speeches and a crowd clapping. Real life isn't an awards show. Real life is me at the stove flipping pancakes with a steady wrist while a person who lied to my face stands there and realizes the game ended before she walked in. Real life is a signature without a speech. The end looked like this: folders on a kitchen island, pins where they needed to be, breakfast on the stove, and 2 adults who had already made up their minds. It wasn't about punishing anybody. It was about telling the truth with my feet. I still keep one of Mike's reports in my safe, not because I need it, but because it reminds me of the lesson. When someone shows you their standards, you don't argue. You raise yours. You set your own terms. You don't chase a person who traded respect for a shinier story. If I'm being honest, the strongest feeling I have about all of it isn't anger. It's relief. I gave myself back my time. I gave myself back my mornings and my shop and my weekends. I gave myself back the version of me that makes clean calls and lives with them. And that breakfast? It was the best one I've ever cooked. Not because of the pancakes. Because of the final line I got to deliver. The one that closed the book without yelling or drama. She tried one more plea, asking if we could talk later, as if later were a space where anything could be different. And I told her the truth that I live by now. Later belongs to people who respect each other. I haven't looked back. Claire and I see each other when our calendars make sense. Lena texts me pictures of her finished bench under a tree with a dog asleep beside it. The shop is busy. The boat doesn't leak. The house feels like mine. That's all a man like me wants. Plain things that work. A kitchen where I cook and nobody lies. A driveway where I park my truck at the end of a day that earned its fatigue. A woman, if it's the right one, who understands that respect isn't negotiable. Megan wanted a different story, and she wrote it with someone else's pen. I didn't edit it for her. I wrote my ending instead. And when the credits rolled, she walked out with what she brought in, while I kept the one thing that matters more